Testing, 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 testing. Okay, everyone. Hello. And welcome back to another video. As you can tell, we are in a different location because we are going to be doing a little sit down talking video where I am going to take you on a trip through the past, and we are going to talk about my fitness journey, how I got into lifting, talking about my relationship with food. I will put a trigger warning at the beginning of this just so if anyone feels like sensitive about like binging and restricting or any kind of like eating disorder type subjects, then you can skip to a different part in the video. And I'll try to time mark probably where I talk about my relationship with eating. So if you do want to skip through that, then more than welcome to do that. So I have my little microphone. So hopefully putting you there, everything sounds okay. Also, Band-Aid thumbs because I have been picking up my hands and I put myself in thumb jail. Okay, so let's get started. My fitness journey started all the way back in 8th grade. So I'm gonna go into a little bit more than like lifting because I feel like my lifting journey has been a very short part of my life, but being active and being in sports has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. So, well, technically sports started when I was 4 and my mom put me in ballet lessons, and I loved ballet. I liked doing the little mermaid makeup, and of course I was 4, so like we didn't really do any like insane things, but I tried out a lot of sports when I was littler. I did ballet, I did soccer, I did swimming, tennis. I ran a bunch too. Going into middle school was kind of when my sports journey officially started. So when you got into middle school, they had all of like the little coaches and they had the little sports fair. So I started running cross country and track in 7th grade, I think. Don't think you were allowed to do sports in 6th grade. And growing up my whole life, I was very small. I was very small, and I was always able to tell and remember like my weight because it was like directly correlating with the grade I was in. So like 6th grade, I was 60 pounds. 7th grade, I was 70 pounds. 8th grade, I was 80 pounds, and so on. So 70-pound little Alyssa, like 12-year-old me, was out there struggling, running, and I got pretty decent at running. It wasn't really like my favorite thing just because like running is a lot of like mental alone time, especially with cross country. I really like track because I did hurdles and I did more of like the sprints, so it wasn't as much like solitary like mental toughness that I had to deal with. So I'll put some pictures here so that you guys can see what I mean by like I was literally very small. I ended up having some like knee problems that kind of transferred into like high school and stuff. It was mostly because I literally had no muscle to protect my joints from like the impact of running that long distance, and I ended up developing some pretty severe like tendonitis in my knees, and I had to end up wearing like a knee brace when I ran because it hurt so bad, but I like didn't want to give up running because all my friends were in the sports, so I just had to continue to push through my knee pain and hating cross country. So I did that up until 8th grade, and then freshman year of high school I switched sports and I ended up trying out for the tennis team. Still very small. I was about 90 pounds when I went into ninth grade. And again, tennis is a very cardio-based sport. We didn't do hardly any lifting. I literally had no idea like what different like exercises were going into high school. I knew like some people lifted because like obviously the football team, and there were a lot of people that like played softball, or like a lot of the track runners did like weights and stuff, but I really didn't even know where room was in the high school until I decided I wanted to run track in the off season of tennis. And I did like one workout and we had to go down in the weight room and lift, and I ended up just like leaving because I was like so fearful of lifting, and I had the beginner lifter mentality of lifting weights is gonna make me look like a man, and I wanted to be so thin and like the skinniest I could be for like as long as I can remember. It was a very toxic mentality. I really struggled with like gaining weight because I was running so much that my body was my metabolism was just so high. I felt like I was eating a lot, but in reality, I was probably not eating more than like a growing child like should be eating, even though I was like 15 and I needed to be eating like as much as an adult was eating. But I developed a really bad relationship with food in high school because I was very hard on myself and I got bullied a lot for how small I was, and I had this dream of becoming a Victoria's Secret model. I was nowhere near tall enough. I think you have to be like 5'8" or 5'9" to be a Victoria's Secret model, and I'm 5'7", so I was like too short. But I thought if I was thin enough and tried really hard to lose all this weight, that I would somehow miraculously be the exception and become a Victoria's Secret fashion model and get my angel wings. And that was like my 14-year-old's goal in life. And so I remember, I don't really, this is really sad, but I don't really have a very good memory of my childhood growing up just because of all of the trauma that happened. So a lot of the things I want to talk about, I have like been having to sit down and like force myself to remember things, and that's been very hard because reliving traumatic experiences is never something someone should have to go through. I remember like going through tennis and going through high school, I did get bullied a lot and people were so mean, and I knew I had to eat to not pass out at tennis practice because like you're out there for like 2+ hours like running around and exerting all of this energy, and it's like super hot outside. And so I was not eating to nourish my body. I was basically just like eating to not pass out basically. I didn't like eat breakfast at all. My lunches were very minimal. I had maybe like a ham sandwich and some like gummies and then a banana. And then I started developing a bad habit where if I didn't do good at like a tennis match, or I didn't like do well in school, or I had like a bad day, I would not eat as much as I should, or I would just like skip a meal cold turkey. I just like wouldn't eat. And I started using food as like a reward, which I have learned. I saw this quote and it was a very good representation of what I was going through. And I wish I would have seen this quote 10 years ago, but it was, you're not a dog. Food is not a reward. You need food to survive, and you need food regardless of how your day went. And that was just like a very big, something clicked in my head, and I wish I would have heard that 10 years ago. Also dealt with some like binging and restricting, where I would like see how long in the day I could go without eating, and then I would like eat a bunch like of snacks at the end of the day, like after my mom or someone was like, have you not eaten today? And I was like, no, I haven't. But I wanted to be a Victoria's Secret model and I wanted to be as skinny as possible. And I felt like I looked great and everyone was so amazed at how skinny I was. And so I just thought, that's it, like being skinny is all there is for me. And then I got into college and I was going to do tennis in college, and then the college that I went to cut the entire tennis program. So I ended up joining the dance team because my roommate freshman year, she was on the dance team and she suggested that we do it together as something to get to know more people and bond as roommates, and was like, okay, sure. I did dance when I was 4. That's like all I really know. I know like first position, second position. I know what a pirouette is. And the school that I went to was a smaller school, and it was really great to know like I could join this team and I could do like sideline routines and do the halftime shows, and they like weren't really like looking for people to like, they had a competition team, so like they obviously like had people try out, but like they weren't looking for like, it wasn't like the Ohio State dance team where like every single person is like just the best dancer ever. And so I think that like going into college and being a part of a team where people actually like supported each other, like were nice to each other was like a big switch from what I dealt with in high school on the tennis team. In college was when I actually first started like learning how to lift weights, because I dated this guy and he told me that he would only date someone who lifted weights. So that's when I started lifting weights, and then when that went south, I continued lifting weights, and I had to stop for a little bit because I had to tell myself, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do lifting for myself. I can't do it for other people. Otherwise, I'm not going to get the benefits out of it that I'm wanting to get out of it. So, my school had a very small athletic like lifting room for all of the sports athletes. So since I was on the dance team, I was able to go in and use the weight room, and that was awesome. And I had literally no idea what I was doing. I ended up quitting dance my junior year because I was getting some pretty severe back problems. I had to sit down with myself and realize I have been dancing for 2.5 years. I'm obviously not going to be trying to go pro as a dancer because I felt like I was good for someone who had been dancing for 2.5 years, but nowhere like was I in the aspect of needing to try out for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders or going to the Rockettes or whatever. And like I love dance and I still enjoy doing some like improv. I do some improv every once in a while. I still stretch to keep up with my flexibility, and that's about it. And that's great. And I watch dance videos all the time. I still enjoy like keeping up with like the dance trends and like watching college competition stuff. But that's about as far as my dance journey took me. And I really just like was getting into lifting a lot more and was gaining some weight. I think I was up to about like 120 pounds in college, which still obviously like 5'7", 120 pounds, like not a healthy weight for my height. So, I mean, I think I was probably on the lower end of healthy weight, but I was not like, the weight I am now is definitely a way more healthy weight than 120. So then let's speed forward to senior year of college, where I've been lifting for a while. I'm still like trying to gain weight. getting ready for graduation, and then the pandemic happens and I graduate college in April of 2020. I think I ended up getting a job at the Hallmark store, which was kind of like a summer job I had had previously, and just to like make some money. And that's kind of when I really started like getting into lifting, because I was like making my own money. I mean, it wasn't a lot, but I was living at home, so like I wasn't having to pay bills. I was not having to pay for insurance or anything. That's kind of when I started getting into powerlifting, was when gyms started opening up again and I was going to the gym pretty consistently. I was still kind of struggling like with gaining weight, and then after talking to some people at the gym that I was going to, they suggested I go on like an anxiety medicine, and turns out I was diagnosed with severe anxiety, and I went on Lexapro, and literally the reason why I couldn't gain weight, because my cortisol levels were so high and my body was constantly in a fight or flight mode, that the food that was going in was being processed faster than my body could suck the nutrients out of it. And so I thought I was eating a bunch, and I was literally having to like force feed myself. And there would be points where like I would go home and I would just cry because I just like hated eating, and I noticed my relationship with food started kind of getting bad again, because I had this love for lifting and I finally felt like I was making progress and like gaining a little bit of muscle, but I felt like other people were making more progress than I was. Knew something was wrong, but I like didn't know what was wrong. And then after I started taking this medicine, it was kind of like the world started moving in slow motion, and I realized I had just been living in like 3 times speed for basically my entire life. I think I gained about like 10 pounds from like lifting and like eating properly within like the first like month of I wouldn't say month, maybe like first couple months of me being on this medicine, just because like my body was able to slow down and my cortisol levels were not like skyrocket high. So that definitely was a big factor into my weightlifting progress. I started going to the gym that I go to with the coach that I was working with, and it was so scary because I knew like kind of what powerlifting was, but the people at the gym that I was going to in my hometown, they kind of were powerlifting, but it was still like a recreational gym, and like they had some like kilo plates and people like were training for powerlifting meets, but the Strong Barbell Club, which is the gym I go to, is like strictly powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, strongman. And the gym the location that it was at was literally like a warehouse, like double garage door, like scary atmosphere, especially for tiny little me. And basically I started going there and made all my friends that I have now. And the first ever meet that I did was Sunflower State Games, and I'm pretty sure it was 2021, because I did one meet where I was 22. Ew, so I've been powerlifting for 5 years. That's kind of crazy. Oh, I just realized that. I don't really think about it like that, but yeah, I did my first meet in Topeka, Kansas. It was called the Sunflower State Games. I had no idea what I was doing. The singlet that I owned, I'll post a video of me wearing all of my stuff, but it was like an Adidas fashion singlet. It wasn't even like a powerlifting singlet, because I wanted a cute singlet. I didn't want to look like a wrestler. What didn't even own like great knee sleeves. I'm pretty sure the knee sleeves I owned, a lot of people thought they were like the volleyball knee pads, because they were just like these really bad quality ones I found off of Amazon. And then the rest is history. I started working with Winona a couple years, maybe like a year into. She's been a great coach. We have like the same body measurement proportions, so I felt like working with someone who understood what it was like to have an extremely short torso and extremely long legs would help me make more progress. I think I've done about like 7 meets now, and my next meet is in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm gonna say 2 weeks because tomorrow's Thursday, the 13th, which is really crazy to think about. Yeah, 17 days. So a little over 2 weeks. So that's really crazy. I feel like training is so weird because you train for so long and then it's really not that long because like you only really train like squat. I train squat like twice a week and then bench 3 times a week, but I only really have like one primary bench day. My other days that I bench are like secondary and tertiary movements, and then I deadlift twice a week. It's like you feel like you have a lot of time to make progress, but you really don't. And I feel like that's one thing people really underestimate with powerlifting is like, if you really want to get into it, it's really good to have a coach so that you can kind of plan out when you're going to do things and how you're going to do things, because unless you're just taking like a 2-year break in between, like to make a lot of progress, or like you're locking in for like 6 months, as the young children would say. I say that like I'm young and I feel like I am young. I'm 27, but I'm not 17 anymore. Meet training has been going really good, and I'm just signed up for regionals actually, which is crazy. That's gonna be in September in Appleton, Wisconsin. Since I live in the Midwest, that's where Midwest regionals is gonna be. So that's, I think, all I'll talk about today. I feel like I yapped for a little bit longer than probably should have, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be filming next week since it's my last week and I'm gonna be going crazy on all my lifts. So I'll take you along with me and I'm gonna film the good and the bad, and I'll try to make it a longer video so that you guys can kind of get a behind the scenes of what it's like to train as a power lifter. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram here. I keep forgetting to do that. I always say follow me on Instagram and never post my Instagram. So make sure to follow me on there if you want to see more lifting content. I will see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Also, I did my makeup for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. I got a new blush and some new concealer, and I feel like my makeup looks so good. And the new lip liner too. Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, Austin. Yeah. Can you come get Kitty? I didn't realize she was in here, and Kitty. she was bapping this, and she's been being crazy. Goodbye, little kitty.
Kitty.